Today is Sunday, Yud Dalid
Okay, we've got it.
of Menachem of Tavshin Dalid. We are in Teres Menachem says
It's a
Mamar.
book.
It's a book, yeah. Tavshin Dalid, Tavshin Yud Beis. In the Mamar of the second day of Shavuos, Tavshin Yud Beis, the Maschal B'Shor Shehikdimu. We are on page Shin Zayin. The Rebbe is explaining here the three crowns, and from that he went into explain Seder Shavuos. He went into the theme of explaining the two types of divine light, Igulim and Yesher, the circles and the lines, the transcendental aspects of Ein Sof and the previous aspects of Ein Sof. And the Rebbe explained that everything goes through the Tzimtzum, including the Igulim. They pass through the Tzimtzum, and then they make their entrance into Seder Shavuos, also in the form of transcendence, but they still go through the Tzimtzum. The Nimshich through the Kav, they're drawn through the Kav via the Tzimtzum.
Is that implying modification?
Yeah, that's exactly the point that I was talking about over here, to an extent.
Yeah.
I don't know if modification is, influence, impact. Tzimtzum does have an impact even on the Eir, which is in a state of Igulim. That's what the Rebbe explains here. Let's start actually from page Shin Vav at the bottom, chapter 6. Omnom. The Rebbe is explaining.
I think we're up to the Tehrim is there.
Yeah, but let's start from the where?
But it's 8 lines up.
No, we're up
I
to.
thought we finished on mine. That's why I made a mark anyway, I don't know.
No, we're up to page Shin Zayin.
Okay.
Over Derech Klal.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, continue.
The Rebbe was saying that in Yesher there is this Halkus, in the level of Yesher, the Eir of the key that is drawn down in the form of Yesher, which is the Eir Pnimi, the immanent light, there is fragmentation, obvious fragmentation, whereas in the Igulim, because it's only B'derech Ma'aber, it only passes through the Tzimtzum as it were, there is no fragmentation, or far less fragmentation, far less obvious fragmentation. Right? Omnam, says the Rebbe, chapter 6, Gamba B'Chinas Igulim, also in the aspect of the circles, the circular divine energy, which are drawn down from the great circle, which means the Igel HaGadol, which is before the Tzimtzum. Sorry?
Okay, yeah.
Right?
That which was drawn back into the periphery.
So it's drawn from the periphery
Yeah.
via the Tzimtzum. It passes through the Tzimtzum into, as it were, our state of consciousness and into Seder Shavuos, right? So although it's only in it's only transferred via the Tzimtzum, because of which its essence hasn't changed, and they remain in a state of Ein Sof, limitless.
Sorry, I'm going to ask again. Forgive me. Is the Tzimtzum not referring to the withdrawal to the periphery rather than the Kav which came out afterwards? The Tzimtzum is the withdrawal to the periphery,
correct.
Not the Kav that comes out afterwards.
The Tzimtzum is the withdrawal to the periphery. Then the Kav is drawn from the periphery
Down and then
via the void, as it were,
yeah.
into Seder Shavuos. Right? So what he's saying here is that what comes down, what is drawn down via the Kav, what's transferred, what is being transferred with the Kav. It's not only the line of divine energy, which ultimately gives rise to say the Shtashulus, Spheres, and so on and so forth, but also the circular, the peripheral, the transcendental Ein Sof is also transferred via the Tzimtzum, via the Kav, via the void, as it were.
Yeah.
That's the point he's making. However, it's just remember the metaphor I gave from the bee carrying the nectar from the flower and inserting it into the hive. Similarly, the Igulim aspect of the Ein Sof is transferred through the Kav in a manner of Ma'aver. It's just it carries it. It takes a transcendental godliness and transfers it on, but it doesn't change the essence. Unlike the Yosher, it's also Ein Sof. Where does the Yosher element of godliness come from? It's also from the periphery, but it's changed through the process of Tzimtzum and entering via the void, right? Whereas this aspect, the Igulim aspect, is far less transformed through the process of going through the Kav and the Tzimtzum and the void. Right? So he says, nevertheless, on the top of page Shin Zayin, since at the end of the day they do pass through, they are drawn down, the Igulim, the transcendental elements of godliness, of God's infinite light, do pass through the Tzimtzum, the passage of the Tzimtzum, right? Therefore, they also contain within themselves elements of the Tzimtzum. In what way? Obviously, not as in the transformative sense as it is in the Yosher aspect of the godliness, but there are some elements of the Tzimtzum in it. And the Rebbe therefore says, therefore we could say, Sheyesh Beis Madreges Beigulim, that there are two levels in the circular the circular aspects of godliness. What does it mean? Two levels. There are two sides, as it were, two shades, two gradations of it. Madrega ha'alav shabahi is gabas b'chinas Ein One level is the dominance of the aspect of the Ein Sof. Madrega beis shaba, and the second level that's within it is gabas b'chinas Tzimtzum, the dominance of the Tzimtzum. So in other words, it's igulim, transcendental, circle, being transferred through the Kav via the Tzimtzum, via the void, right? And that process causes it to attain some elements of the Tzimtzum, obviously not as transformative as those elements of the Tzimtzum impact onto the Yosher, onto the line aspects of godliness, right? And therefore, once it comes through the Kav via the Tzimtzum, down into the, as it were, the general domain of Seder Shavuos, it now has two sides, two aspects to it. It has the Ein Sof aspect to it, and when that is dominant, it's obviously of much more of the Ein Sof, as it were. But it also has elements and trappings of the Tzimtzum, which also come to light in some way, and the Rebbe is going to explain how. Right? That's the theme that the Rebbe touched already upon before. This is the difference between the upper waters and the lower waters. When we talk about water, as the Rebbe mentioned before, the difference between water and earth, water is the manifestation of igulim, the circular element of godliness, and earth is the manifestation of the yosher, the line elements of godliness, right? Meaning, that's why in water, the water covers the sea, as it were, and the fragmentation that's within water is not obvious. Whereas on earth, the fragmentation that exists on earth is a lot more obvious, because this is from Igulim, this is from Yosher. But in water itself, you have upper waters and lower waters, which denotes that there are two aspects to Igulim. What are those two aspects? The ones that the Rebbe just mentioned. The aspect in the Igulim, the Ein Sof aspect in the Igulim, and the Tzimtzum aspect in the Igulim. When we talk about upper waters, it means the higher level of Igulim, the higher level of the circular expressions of godliness. Sheba, in which he is Gabas B'chinas Ein Sof, in which what is dominant? The infinite aspect of the Ein Sof. The infinity. The limitlessness. Hang on, let me just finish the sentence. The lower waters means the lower level of the circular aspects of godliness, where what is more dominant is the aspect of the tzimtzum through which it passes through.
Well, why the moshel with waters? Because surely water belongs. Wouldn't it be better to speak by air and fire in terms of the surrounding things, and water and being, in other words, the nefesh bahamas, the nefesh asichlis. Do you understand?
Yeah, but because Igul V'Yosher is so prevalent in every is prevalent in every level of Seder Shtalshalos, you'll find it in every. You'll find metaphors for it wherever you will turn.
It's just a different method. It's just a different approach. So this is just
Yeah,
using
but
using the metaphor in a different way.
this is, as it were, the lowest metaphor.
Yeah.
You're talking about,
Yeah.
on the contrary, what he's trying to bring out is that you have these elements, even at the very lowest, even, in our state of consciousness. But it's basically, like I said, it's different representations of these two ideas all throughout Seder Shavuos.
Yeah.
Ubederech klal, generally speaking, he says, now how does this, now we brought a metaphor for this in Gashmias, in the physical sense, water and earth, right? In the spiritual sense, where do we see these manifestations? So he says, generally, this is the difference between angels and spheres. Right? He explains. Generally, when we speak about the lower waters, in other words, where do we find the two aspects of igulim? It's not talking about the difference between fire, between water and earth, which is the difference between yeshur and igulim, earth being yeshur and water being igulim. He's talking in igulim itself, the two strands, the Ein Sof aspect of igulim and the tzimtzum aspect in igulim, right? Where do we find that? So he says like this. The lower waters, which is what? The tzimtzum aspect of igulim, where you find the dominance of the tzimtzum aspect within the igulim. The lower level of igulim, this is the level of angels. They are called sea creatures. Angels are sea creatures. They're creatures, which denotes what? Separation, fragmentation, a separate identity, but nevertheless within the sea, within the water. They're like fish in the water. Which means that they are still within the mode of igulim. Because as mentioned before, the root of water is where? Igulim. But in igulim itself, it's what? The tzimtzum aspect of the igulim. They are within the lower aspect of the igulim, the lower waters, in which what is dominant is the aspect of tzimtzum through which the igulim passed. So that's the lower waters. So where does it play itself out in angels? Where do we see the tzimtzum aspect in the igulim within angels? Similarly, when we talk about angels, so what's an angel? What is dominant is the identity of the angel. The angel exists. The loikim may be spheres, by contrast to what? To the spheres, to the divine attributes of Atzilus, in which what is dominant is the Ein Sof. An angel has a separate identity through which Ein Sof is revealed. When you talk about the spheres of Atzilus, when we talk about the divine attributes of Atzilus, what is dominant? The Ein Sof. The entire existence and essence of this sphere is what? Is Ein Sof revealed. That's what a sphere is. As we learned it also in a previous Mamar, that before this spheres come into being, Ein Sof is concealed. Spheres just is the idea of Ein Sof being revealed. So what's the sphere? The sphere is Ein Sof. Obviously so. So what's dominant in the sphere? The Ein Sof aspect. The fact that it's, as I'm going to say in a minute, that it's 10, which denotes tzimtzum, the tzimtzum aspect, is in the background. But what is dominant is the fact that what's revealed over here is Ein Sof. Whereas a malach, what do you see? A malach, you see separate existence, through which Hashem performs certain shlichus and certain missions. So here we see that both of them are of the igulim mode. They're both mayim, water, but this is mayim tachtonim. Angels are like the lower waters, where what's dominant is the tzimtzum aspect within it, so therefore their identity is at the forefront, is more dominant, and the Ein Sof operates through them, whereas a sphere is mayim elyonim, right? The higher waters, where what is dominant is the revelation of Ein Sof, and the tzimtzum aspect of it is in the background.
It's the same with the person, the neshama and the person. The neshama is from Ein Sof.
Yes, but by the person is oretz. The person is already a being that's in the Oretz aspect of existence. Here we're talking about existence within Yam, within the sea. So he says like the Hine, and he explains even further. Even though Sfiras also were touched by the Tzimtzum, by the constriction. Why? The Tzimtzum affected the Ein Sof in such a way that what happened? They become 10 in number, which means what? This is an expression from Sefer Yetzirah. They are 10 and not 9, 10 and not 11, which means to say, it does. Huh?
No.
It does. What does the Tzimtzum do? It does impact on the Ein Sof, on the godliness, on the infinite godly light, to the extent that it turns it into 10, right? So therefore you see the impact of the Tzimtzum on the Esas Sfira. So why are you saying that what is more dominant is the infinity rather than the Tzimtzum? So he says, however, nevertheless, their existence is what? Their identity is godliness. What are they? As explained before, the Sfiras means godliness revealed. The fact that it's 10, we'll get to that in a minute, but that's in the background. What is dominant is that they are godliness. They are entities of godliness. They're not created beings. They're entities of godliness. For sure, certainly when we talk where? In the realm of Atzilus, in the world of emanation. Right? Where he and his vivifications are one. He and his causations are one, which as explained, the Alter Rebbe explains in chapter in Igeres HaKodesh 20, that when we say Chayoy and Garmai, we're talking about Eidos and Kalim, right? In Olam Atzilus, when you talk about the 10 spheres, not only are the energies godly, but the Kalim, the vessels, are also godly. So he says even more so. So in Atzilus, certainly what is dominant in the spheres is what? The Ein Sof aspect rather than the Tzimtzum aspect. This is the greater innovation here. That even when we talk about the 10 spheres as they are in the realm of Bria, of creation, over there the spheres are already within the realm of creation, so they're not united with Ein Sof like the spheres of Atzilus. Nevertheless, they are still entities of godliness. It's just that the chambers, as the Alter Rebbe explains also in chapter Chof of in letter 20 of Igeres HaKodesh, he says, when we talk about Olamis realms, the spiritual realms, you have the Olam, the realm itself, like for example Atzilus. You have the 10 spheres within Atzilus. Then you also have a cholos, chambers. So imagine a house, an abode, and in the abode you have the main room, as it were, and then you have smaller rooms on the side. So too in the spiritual realms, you also have the main abode, as it were, the olam, the realm, in which you have the 10 spheres, and then you have these small chambers, which are designated for specific things, for certain angels to live there, or for whatever purpose they're there, you know. So these are Echolis. So in the Echolis of Bria, which are created me'ayin liyesh, from nothing to something, ex nihilo, hein b'b'chinas yesh ha'metzias. They are in a mode of what? Of existence, of a being and an existence. What's the bottom line of all of this? What's the point that I was trying to make? V'hainu, sheb'sfiris is gabrus b'chinas ein sof. Which means to say that when we talk about sfiris, the divine attributes, what is dominant? What is dominant is the Ein Sof aspect that's within them. Because the being, the makeup of the spheres is the light which clothes itself within them. So what is dominant? The Ein Sof aspect, the Maimel Yonim aspect. This is not the case when we talk about angels. Because even though angels are totally nullified to godliness, to the extent that we find that an angel refers to himself as what? Almost as God. If you open up the Siddur and you're looking by here, Achar, what does it say at the end? When the angel appears to Avraham Avinu for the second time, first he tells him, don't slaughter your son Isaac, and then he promises him, he swears to him that you'll multiply and you'll get the land and so on and so forth. So what does it say? Binish baiti. I myself swear. The angel is speaking, and whose oath is it really? It's Hashem that gave the shvuah. But the angel doesn't say Hashem swears. He says Binish Baiti. Right? Why? Because they're so bottled, so nullified to godliness that when Hashem operates through them, right, they can refer themselves as Binish Baiti. So therefore, it would seem that what a malach is also in a tremendous state of bittul to godliness. So therefore, why are we referring to them as beings in which what is dominant is the tzimtzum aspect? Mikol makom harei metzias. Nevertheless, angels are a separate entity in a separate existence. Kidchsiv, as it says in Daniel, Elef alofim mishamshuni, 1,000 thousands serve me. V'ribu rivon kadomohi yikumun, and tens of thousands stand before him, before me. So we see that what? That there is a number. Okay, the Isa b'Zohar, as the Zohar says, Machne Michol Kufivav Elef Machnes. Kemisper Yehuda, the camp of Michol, the group of the angel Michol, is 186,000 groups, like the number of the flag of Yehuda. Or Machne Gavril Kufne Zayin Elef Machnes. Kemisper Degel Dom, and the group of Gavriel's angels are 157,000 groups, like the number of the flag of Don. There's a reference to the encampments of the Eden, where the Torah enumerates how many Yidden were in each camp. They were broken down into 4 camps. So you had the main Shevet, like for example in Machne Yehuda you had 3 Shvatim, right? And altogether they were 186,000. So this corresponds to the angels of Machne Michol, where there were 186,000 camps within the group of Michol, and so to Gavriel, etc. The Amr Razal and our sages say, Elef alofim mishmshurim mitzpekedu dechot. When it says in Daniel that 1,000 serve me, this is only the number of 1 battalion of angels. But for the Gdud of Ein Mispar, but when we talk about how many battalions are there are limitless battalions. So you have limitless battalions of angels, right? Groups of angels, but each group has a limited number. And each angel that's within a group is one of the multitude of angels that are in that group. What's the bottom line? Shezuhi mitziusei, which means this is his existence, this is his identity. And his existence is such that it's like something which is separated and detached from his source. And when he comes down into this world, he becomes completely separated and detached. We'll continue Mitzvah tomorrow.